Welcome to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. Today is Monday, August 19th, as we're recording this. However, we're probably going to release it on Wednesday, the 21st. The new season is underway. Pokal matches are happening. Premier League's happening. Bundesliga is right around the corner. It's a good time to be a fan.
Football is back. Premier League is back, which I love to see. Bundesliga will be coming back. And as you saw, if you follow the Twitter account, Always Bayern Chelsea, I was tweeting about how happy I am that the Premier League is back. It's just a great time to be alive.
It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time of year heading into my personal favorite season, autumn. And we got some stuff to talk about here. We've had a couple matches for each of our teams, official matches. We got some more stuff to preview. And also, I just wanted to shout out, I think this season on the YouTube channel, we're going to do some quick reactions right after the matches, some little short videos. So check those out if you want to get some kind of instant, raw feedback or reactions from us.
And I'll give you an instant, raw reaction right now. The fact that you're an autumn guy as opposed to a fall guy, that's absurd.
Holy cow, I might have to start over this entire episode and rethink my choices. But no, I'm excited. It's a good time of year and happy to be back, happy to be talking and hopefully introducing maybe some new fans to the sport of football.
Yeah, if you're somebody that's considering getting into the sport, just do it. Dive right in, pick a team, or just watch the games. You know, it's awesome. Or just listen to us and follow along.
Perfect. So why don't we start by talking about Bayern Munich's DFB Pokal matchup against Ulm?
Yeah, great match. You know, I was excited to see Bayern, see some of their new players, see Kane, see Elise, who played some minutes. Bayern on the road at an awesome stadium, I will say. The whole track right there with all the fans around it, that was sick.
It was sick. It was such a small stadium, but I gotta say the fans were loud, and I don't know if that's just how the whole microphone situation was with the broadcast, but the fans there were great, and that seems to be the story for a lot of Bundesliga teams, but even Bundesliga 2 teams I've heard have some really crazy fans. You know, lighting off pyrotechnics, and the ultras were at it. It seemed like a great atmosphere.
Yeah, no surprise, the start of the second half, and you just can't see on the TV because there's too much smoke. Typical Bundesliga.
Oh, man, it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, so Bayern Munich got the victory in this first round of the DFB Pokal, Bayern's first competitive match of the 2024-2025 season. They took down Ulm 4-0, and they looked good doing it. Really, to start things off, in the 12th minute, Muller had a beautiful goal, which was assisted by Kimmich, who basically got American football tackled and still somehow kept control of the ball and found a way to thread the needle and just have a beautiful pass to Muller.
Yeah, striker instincts by Muller there, and it was great to see him up top in that role. He had talked about not knowing what role he was going to be playing this year under Kompany. You know, he's a guy that's probably going to come off the bench quite a bit, I would estimate, but awesome to see him get in the books right away. A fitting start to the year.
Definitely. And yeah, Muller's one of those guys who's very malleable. He can play different roles. He can, you know, he has this set of skills that's really hard to even describe or put down statistically. Outside of directing play and controlling things, Radio Muller is his nickname, is because he's like a radio out there just controlling play and you know, helping his teammates stay organized and, you know, find the right passes and the right instincts and the right shots and everything like that. But Muller in this system was actually playing as the striker, like you said, and he looked great. This hyper-pressing high line system that Kompany played against Ulm, it really fit Muller perfectly, and he had a great game, getting in the books again a few minutes later with his second goal in, I think, around the 14th minute.
Yeah, and that second goal, I think that was the one where really was created by Kim, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful pass by Kim, and once again, Muller putting it away. I mean, talk about a dream start to the year for a guy like that, and for his team.
Yeah, so like you said, it was a gorgeous long ball from Kim that started off that play. And that's partially due to that high line. Kim was playing extremely high up, as a center back. And he had this amazing long ball to Gnabry, who found Muller for a perfect pass and just, buried it 2-0 early on. And really from there, Bayern didn't look back.
Yeah, I mean, from the get-go, they dominated in every sense of the word. With possession, with that high line, as you mentioned, the defenders, you could really tell, were focusing on being aggressive, pushing play up, less focus on actual defending because, frankly, they weren't doing a lot of it. They didn't need to. So when you're playing a team that's clearly less talented than you, even on the road, it's great to push right away and be aggressive, and it really worked out for them.
Yeah, that aggressive attack, I think, is going to be a storyline for this season for Bayern Munich. And the other thing to mention, too, along with that, is that they looked very organized doing it. So I would, tip my hat to Vincent Kompany for that. The players seemed to know what was needed from them. They seemed to know where to go and where to be, what to do when they got the ball, just all that stuff, for a new head coach and someone who's, been with some of these players for damn near only a week. A lot of these guys returning from international duty or extended vacations, they seem like they know what to do and they know where to be. Like I said, it's a really great start for Kompany.
And with a potentially different formation than maybe what we saw in the preseason a little bit. We don't always know, of course, what they're doing in practice, but having Muller up top there, he's probably done it a lot in his career, but those players are still learning each other to a certain degree, and so for them to play so fluid and connected, they weren't perfect throughout the entire match, but certainly putting 4 goals on the board, they showed that they have the ability to score a lot this year.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there were certainly ebbs and flows to the match. Towards the end of the first half, it was a little more stale from Bayern's offense. But I don't know. I think that's kind of to be expected. They still dominated possession, as you mentioned as well. I think Bayern had about 75% possession for the match compared to Ulm's 25%, which is maybe one of the highest imbalances in that category I've seen.
Yeah, and I think we've talked in the past, possession doesn't mean everything all the time. It certainly depends what you do with that possession. But in Bayern's case, they were dominating the possession, but also dominating the chances, shots on goal. So when you have all those things aligned, it's certainly a good recipe.
Yeah, and that's how I would like to see Bayern play throughout the season, at least in the Bundesliga. When you're playing a lot of these teams who you should be able to overpower, maybe things will be different when they're playing those top couple of teams in the league. But I guess we're going to see soon as Bayern plays Wolfsburg in their first Bundesliga matchup on Sunday. We'll get to that. But I was very impressed with Kompany and Bayern's style of play. With Muller as well, like you said, I hope he gets some more minutes this season as compared to last season under Tuchel. But it's going to be hard because Bayern's attack is so deep. Who knows? There could be injuries coming. It seems like there always is. But at the moment, Bayern has a very, very deep squad.
Yeah, you could argue it really was a perfect match, too, because you have a guy like Muller scoring, and then still in the second half, you can bring on some newer guys, get all your players minutes that are important, your Kanes, your Elises. Elise comes on, and his first action gets an assist, to a guy that some say struggles to put goals away toward the net in Kingsley Coman. So building the momentum with guys like that is only going to be massive moving forward. Now, certain guys could leave like Coman, but still it's great to see.
Yeah, like you said, second half, 79th minute, Olise comes on. There's another beautiful long ball, this time from none other than Harry Kane, who just passes it across the entire field. Side note, as Jim and I start to play soccer here, it's not easy to kick that thing that far. I gotta say, I struggle with that sometimes. So, Kane does something that I struggle to do, believe it or not, and sets up Olise, who makes a great run. towards the box. He burns a defender. As if you watch the Premier League or watch Crystal Palace last season, I'm sure you've seen him do all the time, but it was really beautiful to see it in a Bayern jersey. And then, he finds Coman just right on the foot for just a great setup and a great goal to make it 3-0.
I don't want to make this podcast all about me, but I will say, if you saw my prediction of 4-0, that was correct. If you heard my prediction of Elise leading in assists, certainly got a great start from that one. So not to toot my own horn, but just an impressive overall day for me as a Bayern predictor.
Yeah, I mean, it was all great to see, and I'll give you that. Anytime you predict a 4-0 victory for Bayern and it comes to fruition, hey, that's something that we're going to take in stride. And then really to cap it all off, in the 93rd minute, Kane had a goal set up by Muller. So Muller, that was his third goal contribution of the match. 2 goals, 1 assist. And Kane just bodied the opposition and put in a rocket of a header for the 4th goal of the match and the final goal of the match.
I never got around to seeing that last goal by Kane. I think I stopped watching sometime in the second half as I was going off to hit the links, the indoor links. But great to see Kane on the score sheet. As I said, kind of perfect because all your important players are involved, whether they're scoring, assisting, even just getting minutes, logging important, meaningful minutes. It's always great to have that in the first match. So awesome for Kane to see that. And overall, a solid game. There's probably only a couple players that I would have said I was a little disappointed with. Them being Tell and Musiala. I just didn't think they got involved the way they can. But besides that, everything else for Bayern was really clicking on the day, I think.
Yeah, I think you're dead on with that analysis. Definitely a weaker game from both Tell and Musiala, like you said. Both of those guys have the capability to bounce back quickly from this. We'll see if they get the start for the Bundesliga matchup. I would assume Musiala will. Tell I'm not so sure about. But, he should have his chances this season, and their performances in this one don't really worry me just because there was so much firepower to go around anyways. But those two, I would also say Guerrero didn't have his best performance, and then Upa had a couple mistakes as well that were a little worrisome. Didn't end up in goals, but
And to be clear, I'm not worried about Musiala. Not really worried about Tell either. I haven't watched Tell enough to really know what he can provide, but I trust your instincts that he's going to have a special year. Musiala, I know he will have a special year if he stays healthy, so just pointing that out, that he maybe didn't shine, but he's going to be a star this year for Bayern, so no worries out there.
Definitely. So I will wrap up this discussion of the Bayern and Ulm matchup with some match awards that we will, test the waters with right now and most likely do this throughout the year. I think it's cool to hear, and hopefully you do too. But, first match award for this match, man of the match, Thomas Muller. No surprise there, 2 goals and 1 assist. And then for the runner-up, I have Joshua Kimmich. We talked about his incredible assist, and he just played an incredibly solid match in the midfield, controlling things on offense and on defense. And then for the best defender, I had Kim Min-jae. We talked about his long ball, but overall, I just thought he played a solid match, especially where you saw some of those positional deficiencies maybe. He looked a little bit more sure of himself and sturdy in this one. And then finally, for the underrated player of the match, I have Michael Olise. We talked about his assist right when he came on towards the end of the match there. And one other thing to mention about him is he could have / maybe should have had a goal. This is something that I picked up on, and it will come, with maybe a couple weeks training with the team or studying film or whatever. But there was a moment in the match where Olise had a beautiful pass to Muller, and then Muller kicked it right back. And if Olise had just cut in that direction, he would have gotten the ball and scored. if you're familiar with Muller's game, you'll know that that's coming. And unfortunately, he just didn't, but that would have been a goal for him there too.
Yeah, no further thoughts from me. I mean, you pointed out all the players that I think played well. Certainly Muller, and I thought Kim was awesome as well on the defensive line. So, spot on.
Beautiful. Well, I guess I should mention too, although by the time this comes out, this will likely be over, Bayern is playing a friendly tomorrow, Tuesday, August 20th, against Swiss Super League team, the Zurich Grasshoppers. So I don't know, to be honest, who is all going to play in that one, who's not going to play. It might be just kind of an exercise mainly for the youngsters. And since it's, I believe, at 4:30 a.m. Central Time, I won't be able to watch that one live, but I'll hopefully catch some highlights and keep you all posted on the Twitter.
Could just be both teams wanting their young guys to play. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? But we'll keep you posted on that one. But the real action in terms of real competitive action for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga starts on Sunday, August 25th, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Bayern plays Wolfsburg at the, I think it's called the Volkswagen Arena in Wolfsburg. And, you can check out our preview for that one coming later in the week as well, because we'll have more detailed information. But I'm just really looking forward to it. I hope Kompany puts out a strong lineup. I'm looking forward to maybe seeing Olise a little bit more. Maybe Sané will be healthy. Maybe Sasha Boue will be healthy. There's a couple question marks there still with the lineup, but regardless, Bayern will be able to field a good, solid squad.
Yeah, the things I'm watching for in that match, you mentioned Olise, excited to see him get more minutes, how he's going to link up with Harry Kane. That's the connection I'll be watching all season long. Frankly, my eyes will just be trained on them, seeing how they get along and how they connect with one another. Also interested to see if the new acquisition, Polina, maybe starts. Who knows? We'll see. But he's a guy that you want to probably get integrated more into the team, see how he connects with everybody. So those are the things I'm watching for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. My gut right now tells me that Kompany is going to most likely rely on a three-man rotation for the midfield between Kimmich, Pavlovic, and Polina. I think most of the time Kimmich and Polina will start. We'll see what happens. Polina has not been with the squad for as long, so you saw him get some minutes against Ulm, but he didn't start that one. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think Konrad Laimer is going to get many minutes. And double, unfortunately, the squad right now, I guess I should say, the club right now is pushing Leon Goretzka out as hard as they possibly can by not even dressing him for some matches. So that's a bummer. In my opinion, someone who's done so much for the club should be shown a little bit more respect than that.
Yeah, it's tough. I can't comment on everything that goes on behind the scenes. As a Chelsea fan, I know firsthand this type of situation, pushing a guy out. Seems like the very Chelsea player I'm alluding to here is the reason that Goretzka will not play for Atletico Madrid, funnily enough.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's an interesting deal for sure. We'll see what happens through the rest of the transfer window, but either way, I mean, Wolfsburg, you got to keep that on your mind first if you're part of the team. And they're so hot right now, coming off a huge 1-0 victory. So just really want to be careful with them.
Yeah, I mean, they had that Pokal match today and really lit things up. So I'm shaking in my boots, and all of us Bayern fans better keep our heads on a swivel.
And we both watched that match really close and analyzed every second of it. So we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Speaking of knowing what we're talking about, why don't we talk about Chelsea?
Yeah, let's do it. Chelsea opening the English Premier League season, match day 1 at home at the Bridge against Man City. Always tough to go against a team that's won, 5 out of the last 6 titles or something like that. So I know some were saying it could be a good time to face City. They're not fully healthy and back from all their players being on leave, but I wouldn't say there's any good time to face City. You know, they have Pep, who's been there forever now, and we're a team that's the second youngest to ever start a season in the Premier League with a new manager, all these moving parts, these statements coming out before the match. So lots going on. They did lose 2-0, but honestly, I thought, and I said this in my YouTube short, so go check that out, but I thought they played well, and I thought my prediction of 2-2 was pretty spot on. I thought Chelsea could have easily drew. So overall, I'm pleased.
Yeah, I thought that there were moments where they played well, moments where they didn't play so well. I think overall, Man City's defense was just too good. That was the biggest highlight of the match that I saw watching that one was Man City's defense. But there certainly is light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, for Chelsea. There's certainly stuff to be excited about. Some of those new acquisitions got some minutes in that game, and I thought Neto was especially good. I don't know what it was about him, but something about him. He just seemed confident on the ball, and he just seemed like he was good at creating when Chelsea was maybe lacking that from some of their usual creators.
Yeah, what I like about him, and I heard this coming in, is that he's not afraid, specifically against teams like City. He's not afraid to go right at them. I thought mostly on the day, the team was confident in attack, and they were doing things the right way that Maresca wanted them to, building from the back. You know, Sanchez only really had one potential error with a pass, trying to build from the back. You know, they created chances. They ended up beating City in the XG scoring portion, which, as Chelsea fans, we know the last couple of years we've done a lot of that. So it's just about putting those chances away. And we hear this so much over the last couple of years, but that doesn't really worry me because some of these guys can only get more fit, which I'll talk about some of those players in a little bit here. But those chances they had, I think they'll fall. A couple offside decisions that were correct decisions, of course, but you're off by a hair or you just got to learn to sit back. Nico Jackson still not knowing how to be onside. So I'm not really that worried about offensively in the attack.
Yeah, I think that some of those chances will fall, like you said. I think Palmer's chances will fall. Some of the rest of the guys, I don't know if I'm convinced on yet. I'm not saying they're not going to get there. You know, we've had this conversation a lot. I'm biased because I like a true striker, and I also like Jackson, but I just don't see him as a striker. I see him as a winger. And I feel like Chelsea needs to get a true striker. Now, maybe that's not what Enzo envisions in his system. It bothered me with the German national team as well. Nagelsmann using Havertz as a false nine instead of just putting Füllkrug in there to bury some chances. But I don't know.
Yeah, you know, that one chance Nico had where he kind of had his leg up from close range, kicked it toward Ederson, who made a nice save, to be fair, but Victor Osimhen probably puts that away. The other run where Jackson made, and it ended up being called offside, but the way he kind of danced through the box and weakly put an attempt on goal, I didn't love that. You know, you're a striker. You just got to strike the ball hard and put it away. I think what they'll figure out eventually is how to align the attackers with the midfield. They had Enzo starting kind of as the 10, the attacking midfielder. I don't anticipate that they're going to have that for very long. They're going to have to make a tough decision on which of the three between him, Lavia, and Caicedo that they're going to bench. That's my opinion, because I think you want either Palmer or Nkunku as that middle 10 role. So you're going to have to drop one of those three. Enzo doesn't do that role. Neither do the other two. I just think you need a better attacker because they're putting shots on goal in that spot, so they need to figure that out.
100% agree with both of those points. Jackson, I want to clarify, I don't think he's a bad player, and I would have him as a starter on my I guess, ideal Chelsea team, just not as a striker. And then the other point you mentioned, I wasn't very impressed with Enzo in that role. I think, like you said, it'd be better to have Palmer or Nkunku doing that sort of 10, linking the midfield with the attack. Again, that's not to say there's not a spot for Enzo on this team. I just didn't think he looked great in that role. And also, they're playing City, so maybe I should cut him a little bit more slack, but that was just what I thought.
Yeah, it's tough because I really like the profile that Enzo Fernandez provides for this team. Super good as a left number 8 midfield spot where he is facing the attack. I don't want him with his back to the goal they're trying to score. And a lot of times when you're an attacker, you're coming back to receive the ball from defensive players. I want him where he's looking up at his own attackers and he can pass it anywhere along the field. He had some amazing passes across the field to a guy on the right wing or, through balls to a player. That's where he excels the most. Now it's tough because Alavia, I thought, played tremendous, provides a little bit of the same type of play. I don't really want to take Caicedo out either. So they're just going to have to figure that out, as I said, and I think they will over time. But ultimately, Enzo is a player that you want in your side, and he did wear that captain armband, so I don't necessarily see the other Enzo Maresca, benching him anytime soon for the important games.
Yeah, me neither. From what I can tell, based off what I think Enzo wants to do, the other Enzo. But yeah, I see Enzo Fernandez as an 8, definitely.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If I switch over to the defensive side of things here, certainly is the issue that we've seen through preseason. Kind of showed up again today a little bit with that first goal. It was unfortunate because there was a deflection in there and the ball found its way to Holland, who I hate. So tough to see him score. But I don't know. I don't necessarily put a ton of blame on the team. Colwill, could he have done a little bit better? Probably. Cucurella tried to trail him, but he's just not going to stop Holland in that spot. I think the defensive lapses will shore up as guys learn to communicate with each other. They need somebody to take control as a center back and be a leader. I don't know if that's Levi or if that's Wes. I thought Wes did look good, especially he hasn't played in forever. But they need somebody to take command back there.
I agree. Yeah, that was kind of what I found myself thinking and saying a lot about Chelsea last season. Granted, tons of injuries. The other thing that I was kind of confused about was Gusto's role. I don't know if you have more clarification for me on that, but he seemed like he was all over the place. He was really far up in the pitch. Maybe he was doing that inverted role, but it just seemed like there wasn't really anybody to cover that space on defense when he was doing that. So I don't know what we see him as going forward.
Yeah, didn't see enough from him in terms of performance yesterday. He has been doing so well last year and in the preseason. They did have him in that inverted spot. I just don't think it was maybe the right matchup for him. City, great team, but he just didn't do enough. He was far up, A lot of that was because I think in the second half they were trying to bring Palmer more into the middle, which means he's vacating that right wing spot, and so Gusto was filling that at times. Whether that was them trying to be more aggressive and chase the lead at that point, I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Enzo Maresca, but they'll figure that out, I think, as the season goes on. Once Reece gets back, how he plays in that role.
Yeah,
it's interesting, and you can always invert the left side. I think Cucurella was maybe our best player at times. Super solid in that left back spot where you're more of a left center back as you get to that back three. So that's encouraging too, but he can always invert. So I don't know. I think they'll still experiment, which is maybe tougher in season, but you kind of have to do it too.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think I see Reece James in that role on the right side inverting. But yeah, the lineup's going to change most likely, and the formation might even shift a little bit, so it's tough to say. I also think that Sanchez had a great game. Chelsea's keeper, and I don't know a ton about him just because that was the first time I really saw him play, and Chelsea has more keepers on the roster, so I don't know exactly what the plan is, but he looked good, I thought.
It was a Sanchez performance. I won't say that he looked really good. I'll say he was solid. First goal, nothing on him. Did make a pass that arguably should have led to a goal.
Oh, that's right.
Didn't.
That's right. I do remember that.
Which is why I say it was a Sanchez performance, because he likes to slip that in. He's not the most confident guy with his feet, but I don't know. He had some good saves there.
He had a couple of great saves.
Yeah, he did, and that's what he'll provide at times. The second goal, you could argue he could have done better.
Well, probably everybody on the Chelsea side could have done better on that second one.
Certainly Caicedo, Enzo were letting Kovacic completely through all the space in the middle of the field there. And was it a great goal? Yes, of course. And I'll praise Kovacic, former Chelsea player, but Sanchez maybe wasn't positioned perfectly and arguably could have even stopped it still with a stronger hand there. Tough to say.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see. I guess I shouldn't say this because I really don't know. But maybe we'll see some changes or something different in Chelsea's next match.
Yeah, you bring up that next match, and it's against a team that I know nothing about, but it's against Servette in the Europa Conference League. So they play this Thursday already, which, whether you look at that as good or bad, I'm not quite sure, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. It's kind of a playoff before the Conference League, I think. I think you have to win this to get into it almost before you'd have some sort of group play, I think is how it works. So there's 2 legs to it, and this one's at home. So I don't know. I'd probably go with a decently strong lineup just because you want to make sure you're into that group play of the Conference League. At the same time, you want to play a lot of guys. I would probably make half changes in terms of the 11, bring some new guys in, keep some guys as well. I'm definitely making a change at keeper just to mix things up there. But really, Maresca could throw any lineup out there, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to get some intel for you on this team once I watch the highlights, let's be honest, of the friendly versus the Grasshoppers, because those Swiss Super League teams, they might have some secrets to share, and I'll be sure to catch all those and let you know what's going on, and then you can let your contacts at Chelsea Football Club know.
Yeah, I will say, if we are the key contacts for scouting, I think Chelsea might be in trouble, but I still love it all the I don't know what I was trying to say there.
All the same.
All the same. That's the word I was looking for. I'm glad you thought of it because I just sounded like a bumbling fool there. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna work from home Thursday and catch the entire match. Have my full focus on it. I'll be tweeting, putting out YouTube shorts. Hopefully my short is happy. This last one I put out was kind of some optimism and frustration at some things with announcers and fans, but yeah, I'm always excited to watch Chelsea play.
I would say the tone of your short was stern optimism.
Yeah, I over the last 2 days, I've just had kind of some boiling blood with some people poking jabs, which is fine. Some friends poking jabs at Chelsea's spend and the transfer and, oh, is their training room big enough to fit all these players? Blah, blah, blah. Announcers talking about how they're not young and exciting, apparently, even though they're the youngest team and probably the most exciting team. So it's just frustrating that all this happens. It's a big club. It's going to happen. Maybe I'm not used to it as a guy from Milwaukee, where all my teams are in small markets. And frankly, nobody talks about them.
There's pros and cons to each, I like living in Milwaukee. I like that people don't really talk about my teams. I like that little chip on my shoulder, underdog mentality. But people here sure find a way to complain about that too. So who knows? I'd say just enjoy the ride, support your squad, enjoy the ride, and get ready for a good season ahead.
And I tweeted that multiple times about how I'm going to enjoy the ride. There's this account that does a 3-word match review. That was mine. Enjoy the ride. I think we just need to do exactly that. I will also mention part of this ride is already looking forward to the next EPL match on Sunday. I'll briefly just say that it's at Wolves. I'm not going to call it a must-win. That's crazy. It's like a mini must-win, maybe. I just want the team to start strong.
A diet must-win, or a must-win light.
A must-win light. A diet, yeah. That's good. That's good.
Thanks. Just came up with it. As long as your 3-word match reaction isn't trust the process, because we all know how that turned out for the Philadelphia 76ers, still looking for that title, I'll be fine with it.
Literally saw a tweet about how Chelsea fans are going to start chanting that.
Oh, man.
And mentioned the 76ers directly, how they used to do that. Yeah, that franchise is a complete joke, and their star is as well. Enough about Embiid, but yeah, the last thing I'll say about this Wolves match is I'm excited to see if Neto gets the start against his former team. Didn't show a ton in his minutes. I think he showed potential, as you mentioned, but that'll be cool to see. And if they can just build momentum in this midweek match, Sunday could be great for them.
Well, the last thing I'll say about it is I'm really looking forward to our double Wolf Sunday. I couldn't think of a better phrase to coin it off the top of my head, but you texted me this earlier and I had no clue what the hell you were talking about at first, but Bayern facing Wolfsburg and Chelsea facing Wolves. What are the chances of that, folks? This is going to be a good one.
I'm about to do something that could come across terrible quality-wise on this audio, but I'm going to do it anyway. And there might have been a full moon yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, that was, yesterday or today. It's the sturgeon moon, for those of you who know about moons and know what to call them.
As in the fish sturgeon?
Yeah, something to do with their activity. I wish I knew more about it, but I could tell you. Read the Farmer's Almanac and you'll find out.
I got to say, the wolf noise I just did, I'm sorry to those listening because I didn't commit fully and I know it sounded terrible.
Hey, that's all right. We'll work on it, and maybe by the time the Timberwolves of Minnesota start their season, we'll have it down.
Facts. And I do want to just mention one other thing as we kind of finish this Chelsea recap. But today, the João Felix, Conor Gallagher situation seems to be finally resolved. We can go back to a quiet oh, wait, that never happens. Chelsea always has random stuff that comes up. But good to see that this Atletico Madrid stuff seems to be finished.
Yeah, never say never, but one stone, one domino seems to have fallen in the never-ending Chelsea transfer sagas.
Yeah, we still unfortunately have, 11 days left in the transfer window, so a lot of outgoings. If they have another surprise incoming, I wouldn't say Osimhen would be a surprise, but if they bring some random guy in, we'll see. It's wild.
Yeah, and look forward to it because I think Bayern's going to make a few more moves too here, at least a few more sales. So we'll keep you posted on that. Follow us on the Twitter and the YouTube and Apple and Spotify. That's all I got for today. You have anything else?
Just want to mention as well that Clean Sheet, I don't know if we've mentioned the blog directly. Guy that is a friend now I met for the first time on Sunday, a little watch party at a local pub, Red Line Pub here in Milwaukee, but we'll have him on probably in a few weeks talking some Premier League, but maybe give him a follow as well, at Clean Sheet. Read his blog, great stuff. He's included us in that, so just want to support the fellow football readers, listeners, and content providers.
Yeah, definitely look him up. We're grateful for his shout out and his now his friendship. So I'm looking forward to meeting him in the flesh as well.
Sounds incredible.
All right, I'll send us off now with the everlasting Mia San Mia.
London is blue.